The notice being that the township meeting was posted on the official township bulletin board. We have the Cleveland County Gazette, the Lansing Press, the Summer Ledger, the Herald Times, and the Fire of the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being either recorded or went through the closed session portion of the meeting. It will be available on the UTTV channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement be made part of the minutes of this meeting. Lights?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, any other business?
Call roll.
Yes,
Mr. Vaughn?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Sarah?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mayor Plummer is absent this evening. May I have the approval of the minutes, please?
Move to approve. Second.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Next, reports.
Barbara, we have any business?
I have nothing this evening to report, sir. Thank you.
Dan?
Just a few things for a closed session, but nothing right now.
Paul?
Nothing this evening.
Oh,
Barb?
nothing either this evening. Rolling along.
Well. John?
On the finance agenda, we have scheduled a meeting for October 1st to open up negotiations for our union contract. We've also renewed an agreement with Cape Bank to keep our banking at Cape Bank. The agreement with Cape Bank materially has not changed, and the cost to change to another bank would be prohibitive, so we're going to continue to go with Cape Bank. We received our best practices worksheet from the state. It's currently under review. That will be due by October 17th. The best practices worksheet is very important that we score 5 or better to make sure that we do not lose the last 5% of the state aid that's due to us. So
Barbara's working on it.
Barb's working on that, yes. And that's all I have.
Oh, a few things as usual. On October the 14th, I guess it is, we're going to do the resolutions for the 9 and 10s and 11, 12 baseball team here.
Yes.
AAU baseball, the fall league, had sign-ups, and right now they're looking anywhere from 3 to 4 little league teams and 2 Babe Ruth teams. So
Wow.
the fact that the 9, 10s and 11, 12s did so well at the national level this year has really brought on the overflow kids wanting to play baseball again, which is great. Baseball fields, we continue to work on them. We had the fencing down on the Little League field and the Babe Ruth field, and realigning the fields a little bit. We picked up about a 25-foot alleyway between the fences now, which I think will help us as far as flow and water runoff and extra area for tournaments that we can put bleachers and have people stand. One thing that we didn't have planned, that we have to do when we utilize the fields for tournaments, is Little League requires you to have a grass infield. So without the grass infield, we can't play tournament games there. So we have been in the process of removing the clay from the infield area, and we're going to use that clay base to raise the grades on the field so we won't need any more clay. And we also removed the warning tracks from the Little League field along the sideline fences, and that next will be used to finish off the Babe Ruth field with the warning track issues there. Refreshment stand, somebody tried to break into the main field refreshment stand again last weekend. I got the phone call and went down, and I guess they jammed the key up pretty bad, so I had to take the drawer off the hinges. So that they could use it for soccer, and we had Mike Jones come down and replace the locks on that. And our little kids with football are doing very well, and I was over at the Ocean City All-Class Reunion on Friday night, the game against Lyman, and our taxi squad, which is our first and second graders, who are on Channel 40 News. They got a chance to play the Ocean City Taxi Squad at halftime of the high school game. And all of our players got the chance to stand on the sideline with the high school kids, which for them, it helps build a rapport with the coaches in the school, especially the eighth graders getting ready to go over there. It gives them a comfort that they normally wouldn't have. So we're all at high school this year, and what we've generated with Coach Kevin Smith and his staff is phenomenal. They're running clinics for our coaches. We're working hand in hand with them, and even the cheerleading program is doing the same. So it's going to really, I think, generate a better Ocean City High School program in the next 3 to 4 years if we can continue this. Let's see. The only other thing I have is we would like to, and the committee input on this is to do, I'm not sure if we're going to call it an Oktoberfest or a Fall Fest. We tentatively have it scheduled for October the 25th at Mansfield. Again, it'll be similar to 4th of July, but at a smaller scale.
We talked about last month.
And I have Sean Moulton's going to help me put it together. And we're looking at doing it again at no cost to the township. I have 2 bands that have volunteered their time already. We're not going to bring in a professional music person for this. We don't have to, but it's going to be downsized. For the kids, we're looking at doing a pumpkin patch thing, where the kids can pick their pumpkin and face paint them and do whatever they want, maybe some apple bobbing, pumpkin pie eating contest. We're looking at doing quite a few things on that. So, I just want to get the feedback from the committee and get the approval from you guys that you're okay with me putting that together.
Sure. Go ahead. That's not possible.
Sounds good. Okay. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Anything you want to add, let me know, all right?
Yeah, I will.
Just like to, on behalf of our first responders, thank Dave Grass and the Upper Township Football Association for the first responders day that they had a couple of weeks ago on their opening day. It was very nice. Each one of the players took turns walking up and speaking at the microphone, had a little additive to say about all the first responding units, and especially our military personnel. So a lot of people, when they think about first responders, think about our military. So, every branch of the military, they noticed, recognized, and it was a really nice event. The other thing is, we have another resolution, but October 5th to the 11th is going to be Fire Prevention Week, and I believe on October 8th, Memorial Fire Department will have their big night out for fire prevention. So we urge everybody from the public to attend. It's a nice event, and kids get a chance to go find out what it's like to be in a smoke-filled room, and chance, I think they get to shoot at firearms too, right? I think. So it's a nice event, and hopefully everybody will show up. Other than that, that's all I have to report.
Great. I have one of the things myself. I know that the county is stepping up to do what they need to do with the township today. They were down actually picking up a letter inside Old Tucker Road. So they stepping up their efforts to bring up the township. School project that we completed will probably save the last 3 to 4 weeks another $16,000 to $20,000 voice saving for boards, which is a good thing. It's the bottom line where the hospital point last week at 9/11, and we noticed that as we committee members go out, we don't really have some kind of ID to represent the township, and we recommend that maybe we should look into some kind of shorts or something that we can wear, so when we go to something like that, the township is recognized. So, if the committee is okay with that, I would like to get some shorts made out, at least a couple, so that one, we don't run much rush somewhere, we could add some that, let's say, like a township on it.
Something like a township seal or whatever?
Yeah. It'd be easier, so we could all use it, 2 or 3 shorts. Is that, my line is for it? Okay.
That's good.
Well, committee's okay with that, I'll board. You sure?
We got the county working with all the county roads. Now we gotta work on our glorious state. We're down Route 50. And they're going to say we're on Newtown and Route 50, and they're every piece of trash and we're moving pieces all over the place. And, it's just baffles me why you would want to do that.
One fight at a time.
I don't think, maybe we should send a letter to them also and say, hey, we don't appreciate it.
Yeah, at least the county got the idea, and that way, they're doing what's supposed to be done,
Yeah.
so it's a good thing. Other than that, I'd like to know where we stand for, from you, on those lots we discussed about last night, see what we're doing, we're moving forward, we have some.
We're getting values, and we're probably going to report it, if not the next meeting. I talked to Barbara a little bit about it last week. There is an old appraisal on one, and then they're trying to get some market values on the others.
Because if Mr. Thomas is calling again, he wants to know where we stand with that too. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have.
I have one other thing, if you don't mind. I put in on the SkyDrive for everybody to take a look at is my report on the tax maps. And we had discussed the tax maps previously on, kind of the next phase. So I didn't know if anybody had any questions or, if, I thought that was how we discussed was to move for the, a phasing in of the digitalization of the maps over, a 4 or 5 year period. If you're okay with that, we can proceed with, utilizing the balance of our funds that you had appropriated to kind of start phase 1 of that project.
Yeah, I looked at it, I have a problem with that.
That seemed like it was going to be part of the plan, Paul, so.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, and then, we'll probably ask you to get a resolution at the
Yeah,
next
that's what I was
meeting
going to say. I think you need a resolution to do that.
to appropriate funds
So we have a motion or?
No, we'll put it on the next agenda.
next agenda.
Yeah.
Can I add one other thing too, if I forgot? It appeared to be that purchased the last month for the playground at Gold Note farming. So hopefully within the next week or two, we'll be putting that down.
That's great.
And getting that done. It's been a long, ongoing process, but this will be the first one we're going to try, so we'll know what we can do.
We've also, some on that, at least we move forward.
Yeah, so that'll be a good project to get back up.
Anything else?
That's it.
Item number 1 on the agenda, under resolutions, designating October 5th through October 11th, 2014 as Fire Prevention Week in Upper Township.
Move the resolution.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 2, authorizing an extension of the agreements with Cape Bank with regard to banking services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
That's the jump up on the floor.
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Dan, I'll have to stay on.
Okay.
Mr. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried with 3 in favor. Item number 3, authorizing an extension of the shared services agreement with the Township of Egg Harbor for use of facilities, equipment, and supplies for truck and equipment washing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coble?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 4, authorizing the township engineer to solicit bids for the furnishing and delivery of a 2014 or newer rescue squad chassis.
Move the resolution.
Second. And we got the last one too, when you requested.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coble?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 5, authorizing the engineer to prepare specifications and solicit bids for the reconstruction of Bayview Avenue Phase 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coble?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 6, tax refund for Block 602, Lot 11.01.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Can you give a little bit of detail on that?
Yeah, what happens, if you look at the bottom, there's an actual note from the collector. The property taxes were paid both by the homeowner and the mortgage company, and the homeowner asked for a refund.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 7, Chapter 159, resolution for the insertion of a special item of revenue into the 2014 budget that was not determined at the time of the adoption of the budget. Sub-grant for the federal fiscal year 2013 from the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Management Performance Grant in the amount of $5,000.
Move the resolution.
Second.
What is this then?
It's, I'll defer to the specifics to Barb, but it's an emergency management grant, and we have to put it in a line item in the budget in order to receive the funds.
It's a grant that we apply for each year and usually receive.
3 months.
Yeah, we can't put it in the budget if we haven't gotten it yet, and then once
And then
we
once
get the notice that
once
we're
we
going to get it,
receive
we do this
it,
resolution, put it in the budget.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 8, authorizing the mayor to sign and submit a municipal aid grant application for the reconstruction of Commonwealth Avenue from Willard Road to Seaview Avenue in the Strathmere section of the Township of Upper for the fiscal year 2015.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 9, authorizing a professional services contract with Atlantic Investigations for an alcohol and controlled substance training and testing program for certain township employees.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 10, appointing Flexible Communications and James C. Peters as agent for telecommunication services.
That was per our closed session discussion.
Yes, this wasn't specifically discussed, but what he is the broker with the companies, and he has to have the authority to be our agent to speak to the companies under the next 2 resolutions, and he gets paid out of the contract, not out of directly from us. If you've ever changed your home service, it's like the little card you get when you change your agent, so you can change the service.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 11, authorizing the mayor and township clerk to sign a contract with Spectratel Holding Company LLC for POTS telephone services.
Move the approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 12, authorizing the mayor and township clerk to sign a contract with Net Carrier for MPLS VoIP telecommunication and data services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Paul has something I think he wants to point out.
I just would like to point out for these contracts, by renewing and quoting out these services, that we're saving the township 23% of our monthly bills. So coming next year, it's a good savings that we'll be seeing over the next years.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 13, authorizing the release of a performance bond and the acceptance of a 2-year maintenance bond of owner and/or developer Clayton Development Associates for the major subdivision Willits Road property, Block 479, Lot 48.01 and 48.02.
Paul, you got all the warrants on this?
Yes, this is a standard thing that after they've completed the construction of a developer project, they convert the performance bond, and after they've satisfied all the completion of the work, which they have, into a 2-year maintenance bond. And then the 2-year maintenance bond is 15% of the construction contract, and we hold on to that bond for a 2-year period, and if there's any defects or deviations in the performance of the road or drainage system after that period of time, that's our security to know that they'll come back and fix it. And they have satisfied all our township requirements.
So we're okay.
Yes.
Move the approve. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 14, authorizing a notice of violation and abatement of nuisance for Block 567, Lot 12, Block 573.01, Lot 5, Block 303, Lot 1, and Block 549, Lot 1, pursuant to Township Code Section 11-1.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 15, under ordinances, public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 12, 2014, an ordinance vacating the paper street known as Public Alley between Prescott Avenue and Otis Avenue within Block 821 in the Township of Harper, County of Cape May, in the state of New Jersey. And this is a public hearing.
Unless the Township Committee has any comments, it should be open to the public and for anybody wanting to appear and speak on this ordinance at this time.
Yeah, I want to have a comment on this. How has this been at the township law?
It's an unapproved right-of-way that the township doesn't need for any function as an open street. It's been, plotted back in the 1900s when the streets were laid out, and we haven't utilized it hence. And the adjacent property owner has asked to attach it as part of his house because he's raising the home in Strathmere, and it'll allow him to have a little additional side yard setback to be more in compliance with the setbacks. It does put some area, this right-of-way is only 10 feet wide, so each property owner is going to get a 5-foot wide strip by 100 feet, so it's not, you're not talking about large increase in value, but, it's less area, that's our responsibility.
And it doesn't exist now, it's just on paper. You wouldn't even know it was there unless you looked on the map.
Correct.
So we may need for a variance also
And
on the side yard? A lot of the
it most likely, because of that, that property owner is an older home on the one side, I think he would have, it would help alleviate the need, because that's considered a front yard along the alley. So that does help that variance requirement.
Okay, does anybody in the public want to speak about this?
And this is ordinance 12, 2014.
Okay, nobody? Call the roll.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 16, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 13, 2014, and ordinance known as the salary ordinance for the calendar year 2014, amending salary ordinance number 13, known as the salary ordinance for the calendar year 2014. And if the committee so chooses to introduce this ordinance, I'd like to have a public hearing for this on October 14th.
Okay, so right now, we just look to introduce the ordinance.
You got to vote to introduce it, but just to give you, this is to clean up and add items on our salary ordinance. We did note that the additional hourly pay on sanitation vehicles, although it's been in the union contract for many years, when we looked at it for the other item in there, the emergency medical technicians officer in charge fee, we noticed it was missing. So this cleans up two things. It adds the new position of officer in charge on shifts, so there's a superior officer there when the supervisor's not there. So this is the first thing that has to be done. We adopt this ordinance, and then we'll be able to implement that program that was discussed previously.
Move to adopt.
Introduce. Move to introduce. And did you state the date of the hearing?
She did.
Yes, I did, October 14th. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 17, under new business, Upper Township PTA request to hold a raffle, number 434, at the Upper Township Primary School on November 21st, 2014.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Ansara? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 18, Clayton Development Associates, request to vacate a portion of the street known as Willits Road, also known as Willits Point Lane in Monroe.
Again, Paul, can you,
Elaborate? Yes. If you look at the third page of the exhibit on the request, it does show the map. But what it doesn't show is that there's been a subdivision. It's actually the development that we previously just discussed as far as the improvements. And what they did was, they subdivided block 479-4801, and they extended Hudson Avenue into that lot, subdivided it, and created a cul-de-sac. And in doing so, Willits Road in that area doesn't need to be improved or extended because there's no other properties that would be needing to front on that street. So essentially, he's trying to clean up that area, to kind of prevent and control access along the new properties along that area.
Have we contacted those other property owners? Because that's usually what we do.
That would be our policy, if it's something that the township meeting wants, we can contact those owners, but we just wanted to bring it here and find out if you guys are okay with it, we'll go ahead and proceed with contacting those adjacent property owners, make sure they don't have a problem, and if there's no problem, we'll agendize it at a future agenda.
Again, half of this would go to the adjoining.
Half goes to each adjoining property owner.
well, I think we should, let the other, owners, know what's going on, if they want, whatever.
And Paul, implicit in your comments was the fact that you agree that it's not needed for any.
Yeah, it's not needed
township.
correct, it's not needed for any township purpose or, future street circulation.
Well, these are some of the things we're trying to print out,
Yes.
but let's make sure nobody else has anything to say or wants something.
Correct.
So we need a motion approval or?
No, I think motion, just to move forward, direction to move forward, it requires an ordinance, but before we bring it to you for an ordinance, direct the clerk's office and or Paul's office to notify the other four, we're one of the 5 neighbors, but notify the other 4 neighbors and see if they have any objection to the vacation of the street. And if they don't, then we'll bring it back for an ordinance.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I would have motion second to take that action, just to roll call vote. Yeah.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coble?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 19, bid opening results for the sports field lighting at Amanda's Field.
Paul?
Thank you. We did receive bids for the sports lighting at Amanda's Field. As you can see, we only received 1 bidder. There were 3 other contractors and vendors that took out the plans and specifications. However, none of them bid on it, which is similar. This is the same single bidder that had bid the last 2 times we bid this project. When you look at it's at a cost of $175,605. And when you look at, in the last page of their bid submittal was a energy savings calculation. That was part of the bid submittal requirements, was to look at not just the initial installation costs, but also to look at if, somebody were to install typical flood lighting, sports lighting, that's not energy efficient, does not have the electronic controls for such, what would be the energy costs? And those energy costs would look at saving $70,000 over a 25-year period, because obviously, when we put these lights up, they're going to be there for a long period of time. So that would be the additional savings we would see as compared to traditional floodlighting, sports lighting that you would get quotes for.
Well, I know that I'm ready to bid, I read some specs, and I think that, there are some things that we really don't need. We don't go away with it. There is, possibly the warranty, if it's 25 years, it could probably be a 30-year warranty.
The 25-year warranty, that's a standard warranty that you get. That's most manufacturers, that's a typical warranty that you would request.
Yeah, I still feel that because, first of all, it's one better on this, I think we should go along and do this bit. And,
Color warranty is what?
25
years.
What do we get for that warranty?
We get a guarantee that the light levels will be the same as the first day as the last day on the 25-year. It includes a full relamping of the lights during that 25-year period, and they use that electronic control to monitor and can fine-tune the voltage and the energy savings, so that not only are you getting the energy savings, but you're maintaining the light level for safety of the players playing on the field.
You'll maintain the one level by up the voltage for lights, which in turn is going to use more electricity.
So it's more energy, but when you look at the energy savings, you're still saving, even though they do increase the voltage, because their bulbs are more energy efficient, they save energy in the long run, even though they do increase the voltage.
Does that include replacing the bulbs and
It includes one relamping of all the bulbs.
that fuses everything we need?
Yes.
Is it going to be a lead of the 10% reduction lighting before that, nothing's going to happen?
Excuse me?
They won't change bulbs or anything before they use the 10% of lighting, is that correct?
They'll guarantee that overall light lampage,
Is
yes.
there an estimated value of that replacement of everything? And if they're looking at $175,000, it's $25,000 for them to come in and read.
Yeah, when you look at the analysis for, I think it's almost $34,000, $36,000 to relamp all of the lights for both of the fields.
Ballast, anything that goes bad, that's
Yes,
covered,
yes,
and no cost to us.
yes.
Well, I'm looking at the installation cost here. I see a 2-day crane rental, and I see an estimate for hooking up the electrical components. Comes out to an additional $6,750. Is that $6,750 guaranteed, or is that
No, that's the bid that we took, that we received, was just to supply the materials.
That's just
Our public works, just like the public works installed the lights down at Caldwell Park with the assistance of, somebody setting the poles, but as far as all the wiring and mounting of the poles and the fixtures,
that's in addition to? Now, is there a foundation required for these lights?
that's part of what the foundation's actually a concrete pole section that's set in the ground, and then the seal pole is slid over top of the concrete foundation pole.
These are what, 75-foot poles?
Two of them are 60, the rest of them are 70 foot.
So this is actually, like I wouldn't say power, we put it into the ground.
Right, so that's included in that price?
Yes, it is.
This is everything except for the wiring, one connecting hot.
Okay.
And that's what, and that's in the bottom of my memo, the additional wiring, the breakers, and the crane set, that's the additional cost that the township would need to spend to install the lighting.
So it would be the township installing those lights?
Yes.
Yes, that's how it's being in the township, which I think was the installation is not included.
We did the Little League Killer Cop.
Okay.
I do have a question on the Wi-Fi side.
Yes.
Is there a cost connected, you have an idea what the cost is for that, and can you explain the reasons
Well,
to have?
the cost, if we decide to hook the Wi-Fi up, it's to allow us to be able to remotely operate and monitor the efficiency of the light, as well as to be able to turn them on and off.
Is there an estimated cost of that?
So you'd have to get, if we were, we'd have to get cable service out to the control room, where the equipment shelter is there, and then put in a router.
Paul, was there an extra cost in the bid specs?
No.
For that?
No, it's
Wi-Fi is extra, it doesn't cost anything in the actual...
It's part of the components it's part of the control system. Even the lights out at, at hockey at Rangers Field, they have Wi-Fi capability. Most of the controllers for these big sports lighting all have a Wi-Fi capability so that you can monitor and control them remotely. So it makes it unnecessary for people to go into, the equipment shelter and to actually physically turn the light on. You can program these lights, when the games are in advance, you turn the lights on and you turn them off, and it's all controlled.
And there's an override there in case the game goes to extra innings or...
Well, typically you'd keep that over, but yes, you have the ability to, if you had the right, at that ability, you could Wi-Fi right into it while you were there and be able to,
There's nothing manual you can do?
you can. Yeah, you can, yes.
If somebody doesn't have a smartphone or a laptop there.
Yes, yes.
And then somebody's going to have access to our Wi-Fi
Yes.
to make the adjustments. I'm not sure how secure that's going to be.
I mean, as It's an option, doesn't mean you have to use it, but there's no additional cost.
There is no charge.
No.
From what I understand, it's one thing, the whole package is, what it is, you can't take anything out. Am I correct? You're, you can't take anything out of that. If you want to minus this, and this, we can't do that.
It comes as a package, they're not, yes.
And, the specs were made, the company that bid on it is the ones that give us the specs, is that correct?
No, actually, if you look at the Little League standards, if you go to Little League Baseball, these are the Little League baseball lighting standards, the specs.
Did you speak to any of the other companies too?
I did speak to another vendor that, had actually supplied the lights down at Caldwell Park, but he had felt that based on some conversations he had with some township officials regarding what our budgetary costs were, that in looking at both the cost of the supplying the lights and looking at the 25-year costs for energy efficiency and all the relamping, that he couldn't be competitive in what the budgetary costs that he was told. So he decided not to bid.
But I believe that perhaps something could be done for less than that.
Well, but I think if you look at it, you're not going to make the savings that $70,000 up. If you look at even that informal quote that we had received before we put our project to bid, if you added the $70,000 savings or the additional that you're going to not have on the energy savings, you're going to well exceed this bid price. So you have a good price.
Well, the $70,000 over a 25-year life, so I'm not looking at that as being one of the larger components. I think maybe one of the other things that we need to look at is how many man hours is budgeted for the installation of these light bulbs.
You'd have to talk to Public Works on to see what they would, estimate the budgetary, regardless of which manufacturer you look at, the cost is going to be there, but it's part of...
What I'm looking at, the budgetary cost of this project is $178,000. So based on that, we're tacking on an additional $6,750 for some electrical connections and rental of crane for 2 days. That's provided it doesn't take more than 2 days. Now on top of that, we also have to look at the cost of the allocation of the man hours. So now I think that we're kind of like getting beyond our budget for the project.
I believe that the also, they can be installed without a foundation, ways to do it.
Well, it depends on the way to the pole. Yeah, I mean, and again, like Musco was the one that bid this, right?
Yes.
And they're probably the premier light company if not in the whole world, at least in the United States, as far as stadium lighting. What I'm looking at on this is if we're at $175,000 on it, and then we add the salaries were already, I know we want to account for them, but they're already in our budget for the year. So we're not going to be taking and adding more salary to it. We're just going to utilize the man hour based on our...
Right, but it's man hours that they have township, so it's, if we're going to get a good grasp on our cost, we need to have an understanding of how many township man hours we're
The budget's allocated, or we're just looking at salaries when we do our budget for manpower.
I don't have the breakdown for the salaries, and when I do the budget.
What I'm looking at on this, and just for me, the pros and cons, and I think maybe, maybe we should look a little more, is that if we're at $175,000, and they're estimating $70,000 savings over 25 years, plus roughly $25,000 to $35,000 revamping of the lights at 12 years, we're at over $100,000 savings over that 25-year period. Which,
But the warranty, it's not, if you have a 3-year warranty on its lights and the whole thing, it costs nothing.
Well, if we're-
If you do something, or we get another company that will less, and have it in every warranty, it's 3-year warranty.
If the-
I think we should afford it.
It's not actually a savings, because right now the cost for lighting that field is $0. So you can't look at that $75,000, I mean, it may cost $70,000 less to light that field.
No, it's not.
Or something else, but right now it's not costing.
I'm not saying that with the lights yet, or whatever. What I'm saying is, okay, what company bid on it? It's possible because the way the specs were written out, other than the companies can bid on it,
That's,
So I'd like to see that.
I talked to the other vendor. It was not because of the specs, it was because of, he couldn't meet what he was told the budgetary price was. It had nothing to do with the specs. He could prepare a quote based on our specs. It was not the specs, it was, he felt that he couldn't come into a budgetary price that he was told by somebody of what to get to, and, he didn't feel that he could meet that, so he wasn't gonna take the effort and spend his dollars to. I didn't.
don't know what our budgetary requirement is if we didn't solicit a bid from it. Our paper, in the paper said it was 209,000.
I think it was 175 or something like that, but anyway, that figure was a big one.
I'm just wondering, how would we know that?
Just public knowledge what we bonded for the project.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question, Dave. Like, we've come up with this before with going out for bid, people pulling out bid packages and not submitting a bid. Is it appropriate for us to go back to some of those people and say,
Well, we could reject the bids, with only one bidder, you probably have more leeway to reject the bids. You could substantially revise them and rebid it again. What you can't do is go back and start negotiating with other bidders who didn't submit.
Now, one thing is, can we try and see if we can find somebody else to negotiate with?
Well, I think the vendor said he couldn't. That's why he didn't submit a bid.
Where do you put that?
we have other vendors here that did submit bids?
No, there was only one other vendor.
There was one vendor that submitted bids. There were a total of 4 vendors that took the packages out, but only one submitted a bid.
And there was a proposal submitted not within the bidding context that my understanding is did not meet the bid specs. Is that correct?
Well, I didn't evaluate that proposal. I don't know if those lights may have met the lighting specification, but as far as looking at, hey, evaluating what the 25-year cost would be so that we can look at the true cost of a
I
project.
understand. So you could change, if you wanted to lower the upfront cost, but did not care as much about the savings that Paul was just referring to in the factoring in, your upfront capital could be lower, you would have to revise the bid specs to do that.
But to not look at potentially saving $70,000 just to pay extra money for electricity to give it to Atlantic Electric is probably not a wise thing to do.
No, we don't know, we might be able to do the same thing.
He told me he couldn't.
Would he put that in writing?
Well, the problem is he didn't bid.
He didn't bid.
You can't make him bid now after the fact.
I'm kind of confused here. If we put bids out, and he had a number in his head already. That kind of confuses me.
Well, I don't think anyone from the township gave him a number.
That's what I was told. Somebody from the township gave him a number.
Do you know who it was?
I would assume it was the person that supplied the informal quote to the township committee.
We never give them a price.
I don't know.
The numbers were bigger.
No, one thing.
I only know of one other person that was communicating with that vendor.
But in that way,
I got a response from the company, the price was never discussed. The amount that was going out, which was paid for $175,000, that's what comes out to me. I don't even know where the figure came from.
we had, in the bond, we had, what, 175 or 185,000 allocated.
188.
188.
Yeah, so we're under the bond.
175, I think.
I just,
The bottom line is you can submit a bid, you can reject the bids, you can table it, you have time, you can table it to the next meeting, and maybe some of these questions can be answered, and then you can decide what you want to do at that point.
maybe I don't want to move forward with this, because I think, there's some issues here that have to be addressed.
And I think there's a lot of open-ended things here that we might want to nail down.
And we have time, it's last week.
I got everybody to listen to
That's what-
the
we have time.
14th meeting, and, and any questions that have to be answered, I think they need to be answered by the 14th, so we can move forward. So we're under the bond amount of money.
Yes.
The bids are solid. It's one of the most reputable people we can get it from. And for some reason or other, the other company didn't bid because you didn't compete with it. And I just, for whatever reason, it's not the way the procedure should work.
Is that a motion to table it?
I'd motion to table. I don't think we should go any further.
second?
Second.
And I think it's good that we go forward with a full call on this, not somebody missing it, so.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Nocera? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Table. Item number 20, bid opening results for security equipment.
As you can see, we rebid this. We did take out the fire alarm spec, and as reported, to some of the people that did not bid the project last time, we did receive many more bidders this time. If you remember, we only received 2 bidders last time, and only one of the bidders bid on both the intrusion alarm and the CCTV. So at this time, there were 6 bidders on the project. The high bid was $104,000, the low bid was $57,901.20 from Pro Video Engineering in Northfield. The next 2 highest bidders were probably within, I think the next one up was like $1,500 or $1,600, and the other one was like another $1,000 over that. So, it was fairly competitive bidding that we received on that. The review of the bids from my perspective on the technical side, that they supplied all the proper technical submittals to supply us what we were looking for the 3 building locations within the budgetary price that we had.
So we have a low bidder that's going to give us what we need.
Yes.
Paul, within that $60,000, did that also include the repairs to the fire alarm system? I mean, I know that was not part of this bid, but in terms of the budget itself, did that $60,000 include the repairs to the fire alarm system within the,
Within this building, it doesn't because, but that, when looking at, and we've gotten some informal pricing on that, the one thing that was missing on our existing fire alarm system was at a very minor cost, probably less than, $500.
okay, so that $60,000 that was within the budget would cover the repairs to this system that was originally included with this
Yes,
bid first time we bid?
correct.
Okay.
It just would not allow for, I'll say, an enhanced fire alarm system or installing a fire alarm system, which are not required by code in some of our other buildings.
All right, so there's enough remaining in the budget to do what we needed to do here
To kind of clean it up, to make the buildings more appropriate. Yes.
So, we need a motion to approve this, or
You need a motion to put on a resolution at the next agenda to award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder.
a motion to move forward with this?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Nocera?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 21, best practices inventory.
As John had brought up earlier this evening, we're working on our best practices worksheet, and I think it would be in the best interest of the township to appoint a finance committee. I would recommend that myself, the clerk, Barbara Young, and John, the committee that oversees finance, be appointed to the committee.
We kind of do this informally anyway. I mean, when there's a finance issue, sometimes the auditor is also notified, but it's better not to have them on the finance committee. So these people talk all the time anyway, but this way, best practices will say you actually did ask these folks to take up these roles and step up, and you have formal proof of that. And it gets us another answer, yes, on our best practices questionnaire. So if you agree with that, we would need a motion.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Nocera?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Item number 22, we have the payment of bills.
Move I move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Nocera?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 23, we have the report of the municipal departments. we have a motion to accept that one-minute repair.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Motion is carried. And then we have the public portion of the meeting for public comment.
Anybody here opposed, want to address the board? Any comments?
Gentlemen, I'm Jeff Pearson of 49 One Creek Drive in Marmora, and I just want to go on record to commend the Tuckahoe Volunteer Fire Company for the fundraising event that they just did for Rachel Chapman and her children. I thought that was an extremely well-done event. They really put forth an effort. There was a lot of people in attendance, to include a couple of members of the committee, Mr. Young, Mr. Barr, the chiefs of the various municipal safety organizations. So I just want to say, I think they did a fine job and give them a big pat on the back. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
I have a comment. Good evening, everybody.
Raise your name.
Camille Saylor, I'm a resident in Upper and Richmond. I represent the Cape May Herald here tonight. We've been reading a lot about the town center concept in Marmora. Hasn't been too much reporting that has followed. Some of the reporting that has been in the newspapers prior to today. So I'm wondering, do you have any news about what is happening with properties on Route 9, the entire town center concept, as well as perhaps having some public debate or comment at an upcoming meeting?
Well, the town center's been improved, as you probably know. Other than pursuing, companies come in and try to do something, there's not much we can do about it. Given the economy nowadays, it's going to be, the only improvement within the town center's been designed so that, it facilitates anybody coming in that want to do something. We've done that so far. Other than that, as I say, the economy being what it is, it's going to be careful.
The economy's getting better, so some of us are wondering maybe is there more that the township or even collectively we could do to stimulate interest in that entire area, which would benefit the entire township.
Well, we're always looking for ways to, to improve and try to bring in, new businesses down. Of course, we're always doing that, yes.
One thing that we had talked about, and I'm going to talk to the business associations about it, is to do a beautification award. We need to get the property down there cleaned up,
Right.
better appearance, streetscape, so possibly maybe going into next year, we'll do a beautification award and try to get the businesses to get out there and do something as far as with landscaping and flowers. And to me, green trees is a beautification award. That's just green trees.
Yeah, we're looking for ways to improve it.
But we need businesses to get involved with us also, to try to come up with something that, if you want to attract businesses, it has to look like, I want to open a business here. And it has to look that way down the entire corridor, not just in spots.
That's why, we went to the county, and they went out, there was a whole water line on the way across the street. So that when you come in town, that's the first thing you're going to see, it's a very impression. We all, we're not going anywhere.
Relatedly, I'd like to say thank you to Paul because he's really a stalwart in this entire concept of cleaning up Upper. And he never shirks from responding to emails and really had wonderful results in Paul's direct intervention in cleaning up Upper.
He's been involved with the town centers for, 10 years? So,
Yeah, a good 15 years, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
anyone else? I guess we'll close the public portion. Mr. Coggins, we'll move to
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the township committee to enter into a executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Litigation with Grub versus Upper Township versus Jack and Sandstone, and one personnel matter. I also included in my motion the estimated time and circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taking place, or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to litigation matters, such discussions will be made public when litigation is complete and the applicable appeal period is expired.
Please second.
Second?
Mr. Parr?
Yes.
Mr. Cobb's?
Yes.
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Downing?